Who is already bored of this season? Who is already over Karen's antics? Who does not give one F about Ashley, Jay, Pao, or Russ? Hey guys, it's Wahima, but just call me Wah. Melanated! Welcome to another episode of 90 Day Fiancé. This is Happily Ever After Season 4, Episode 2. When the Dust Settles, or was that last week's episode? I don't know. But all I know is that I have had the hardest time filming this video. It is Thursday. This show came on Sunday. I probably watched it Monday and Tuesday, and I have not been able to film it because I am so bored and over it, and I don't care, and it sucks because I love this show. But what I am excited for is 90 Day the Other Way, which is where the Americans go to the foreign lands, and there is a couple who is in Qatar, and girl, his name is Aladdin. Let's jump right into this episode. Oh, you guys, I have merch down below. Don't forget to check that out. Let's start off with the most boring couples. If you guys aren't following me, please go ahead and follow me on Instagram. I give you guys updates on what's going on in the 90 Day Fiancé world and what's going on in my life, really more so than what's going on in the 90 Day Fiancé world, to be honest. I'm no longer going to be recapping Ashley and Jay's segments because there's huge spoilers out on Instagram. I am absolutely done with Ashley and Jay. Their storyline is so fake and phony, and it all has Jay looking bad, and I just don't agree with it. I don't know why he would agree to this kind of thing towards him. It's just so dumb. So it's so transparent and annoying. So I won't be doing them anymore. And Russ and Pao, their storyline has gotten nowhere in the last 2 episodes, so I probably am going to stop talking about them as well. Let's go ahead and start with the most boring couples, and then we're going to go on to the juicy bits at the end. So first, let's talk about Pao and Russ. Okay, so in this segment, they've decided that they are going to go to Oklahoma because Russ's family is throwing Pao a baby shower. Pao finds this very weird because she hasn't really communicated with them in 2 years, and all of a sudden they want to throw a baby shower for her. So the first segment we have with them is they're driving in the car going to drop their dog off somewhere to be babysat while they're in Oklahoma. And Pao is trying to talk to Russ about why his family really doesn't like her. And he's trying to say things, but he can't say it in a way that's going to make his parents look good. So he just gets frustrated with her and tells her to stop talking about it, and she's thinking about it too much, and it's frustrating him. And I'm like, just say, my parents are conservative, you came to the house and you had your titties out. First of all, I wish that he would have said something to her. Like, hey Pao, I come from a very conservative family. When you come downstairs, you're going to have to cover up. And then she needed to honor that. And if she didn't want to honor that and she wanted to hide behind the fact that she's Colombian and that's how Colombians dress, then that's on her, and that's a fundamental problem that they need to go to therapy to work out. Russ needed to protect her. He needed to tell her what was expected. When I was younger and I brought friends to the house, I always explained to them as we were approaching my front door that I was going to take them directly to meet my father. And they were going to put their hand out and they were going to say, hi, Mr. Lino. And my dad was going to shake their hands, have a little conversation with them, and then we were going to walk away. But that's the way it's going to happen every single time. So if Russ didn't tell Pao that, then that's on him. I don't think they should have any say with how she handles her business or makes her money. But if in their house it is more comfortable for them if she is covered up, then girl, cover your body up. So anyways, they get to Oklahoma and they're in the hotel room, and Russ says that he's not going to be at the baby shower. And she's shocked. She's like, why aren't you going to be there? I told you that I didn't want to be there alone. And I'm also a little shocked too. In certain cultures in the United States, and traditionally in the United States, baby showers are only for women. But that hasn't been the case in my family in a very long time. Baby showers are just parties and everybody shows up, and the people who are playing the games are playing the games, men, women, whoever. You get unisex prizes and that's it. And I feel like he should just bite the bullet and be there for her, just to be there and smooth things over and make her comfortable. Anyways, that's the end of them. And so let's move on to Elizabeth and Libby. So this is another couple with a baby situation. So we start out this episode with them going to the ultrasound to find out the sex of the baby. And Libby's family, her sisters and her mother, are a little upset because Libby doesn't want them there. Libby and Andre have decided that this moment is for them only. And I think that is absolutely their choice. I understand her sister and her mother being upset, but at the same time, I understand that it's their choice. And it would be so much easier on Andre because they still judge Andre for not having a job. Now, why Andre doesn't have a job, I have no idea. Andre strikes me as the type of man who wouldn't just take any kind of job, and so maybe that's what's holding him back. But it doesn't matter to me. Like, if Libby is okay with her husband not working, that's none of my business. Anyways, they find out the sex of the baby. Andre thinks that it is a girl. It turns out that it is a girl, and they're very excited. And then the mom throws a gender reveal party. So they go to the gender reveal party, and Andre ends up pseudo making amends with the dad. He shakes his hand and he says, you know what, I'm gonna do my best to take care of this family. And it seems like it's a really good time. The dad and the mom might have something to say about the way they handle their business, but the rest of the siblings, like, get out of the business, sis. Literally, get out of the business. Let them handle their shit. Until, you know, Andre pops off and snaps the phone from her in the car, then we'll have something to say. I'm not even looking at my notes, you guys. That's how much I'm just like, let's get through this. Okay, so the next couple that we're gonna talk about is Nickel and Azan. So we start off with Baby May and Nickel at the park, and it looks like they're having a good time, and then Nickel goes off to call daddy. I hate the fact that she talks to May and refers to Azan as being daddy. It is just so, she's not protecting her daughter, but anyways, let's move on from that. So Nickel gets on the phone with Azan, and he seems happy to talk to her, and she just looking a hot, sweaty mess, girl. Like, I'm just like, girl, you're on camera. Nickel is talking to Azan. They're deciding on how they're gonna see each other. She's really missing him. She says it's really hard. She saw him 3 different times, and she spent so much time with him, and to not have him with her to be able to cuddle and all that jazz, like, it's really hard for her. And my thing is, like, girl, like, if you wanted somebody to cuddle, you should just cuddle with May, because Azan is not that much bigger than her. How does Azan make Nickel feel comfortable in the bed? Like, I can't. He's so little and skinny. Like, who wanna hug that? What? I don't get it. Nickel all of a sudden comes up with this new miraculous reason why they didn't get married in Morocco, and it's because they both felt the pressure of having to plan a wedding in 3 months. I'm like, do you know how many cast members planned their wedding in 3 months? It can happen. So that's why they decided to not have the wedding, not because they didn't have the money or they really shouldn't have gotten married, or because she wouldn't convert to Islam, or because all the other things that we know is the reason why they didn't get married. It was because they felt the pressure of throwing a wedding in 3 months. Nickel has a great idea that they should then go to another country in order to see each other, because she can't go to Morocco right now, which I guess maybe because it's too expensive. Girl, I don't know why she can't go back to Morocco. So they decide they're just gonna go on vacation somewhere, someplace that he can go without having to have a visa first. So they go through a list of places that they could go. One of those is the Philippines, then they say South Korea, and then it turns out that Azan and Nickel tried to go to South Korea one time before, and he got to customs and they turned him around. And then when the producers ask her why that happened, she's like, oh, I don't know. I'm like, girl, you spent thousands of dollars on Azan to get to South Korea, and you don't know why he wasn't admitted in. The fact that he's Muslim and the fact that he comes from a Muslim country is a big deal, especially in these times in our world. And that's probably also why he didn't get his K1 visa to come to the US. They choose Grenada, and now she is so excited about going to Grenada because they could like roll around with each other on the beach and they could kiss in public. And Hassan is like, I still feel a little bit, like everybody is looking at me, and so maybe not too much in public, and he's probably gonna pull Muhammad Jabali and be like, I can't kiss her because it's my religion, Nicole is excited, and they're gonna take Baby May and they're gonna go to Grenada. But first, she needs to get a job, because right now, neither of them are working, and we all know that she's the breadwinner. So she decides that she's gonna go to a temp agency and try to get a job. So she has an interview with a temp agency, and this girl is 25 years old with no skills. She doesn't bring a resume. When the woman asks her if she'd be willing to do receptionist job, she's like, and I'm like, girl, if you're going to a temp agency, you should be prepared to do receptionist work. I don't find receptionist work to be that overwhelming, but she's like, oh, I have experience in retail. And I'm like, why are you at a temp agency for retail? Just go down to the mall and fill out some applications. What's happening? Did TLC set this up? Did Sharp set this up? I don't know what's going on, but this is very weird, very bizarre. The woman is trying to ask her, do you know Microsoft Word? Do you know Excel? Do you know how to use Outlook? And she's like, no, but I, did some projects in high school, and so I think I could maneuver around it. And I'm like, bitch, you just call back to high school? You're 25 years old, miss. You can't call back to high school. You can't talk about projects you did in the 12th grade. What? And you didn't even come there with a resume? And the woman was trying to be so nice about it because Nicole is like, oh, so when can I start working? And she's like, well, it's going to be a little hard to place you because your skill set is a little lacking. And, you know, the competitive market that we're in right now, people want temp to hire. And Nicole's like, no, I want every job to know that this is temporary and I'm not there for the long haul. I don't even want them to know my name. Can I go by an alias? I don't want them to have any inkling or any idea that I might like working there or any of these people because this is temporary. I'm just like, Nicole girl, like nobody wants to hire temp unless you're like a construction worker. Everybody else, even if it is temp, they don't need to know that you're not gonna be around. You're gonna have to keep your business private. Don't tell the temp agency that you're trying to move to Morocco. And she's like, yeah, my fiance is in Morocco. And the temp is like, oh my God, that's such an exciting thing. So are you gonna be able to work there? And she's like, no, because I don't speak the language. So I'm not gonna be able to do that. And I thought to myself, is Nicole not gonna learn Arabic? Okay, so she's not gonna convert to Islam. She's not gonna learn Arabic. She's the breadwinner right now. What is gonna happen when they go to Morocco? What is, Nicole is a dum-dum. She don't even make any sense. Okay, so the next couple that we're gonna talk about is Pedro and Chantel. They are really setting us up for Family Chantel. River had his own confessional, like a full-on confessional, not like standing in the hallway, let's shoot something real quick, but a full-on sit down, here's a little hair and makeup confessional. Karen had one too. Finally, we get to see their real house and not an Airbnb. So we start off this episode where they're driving back from Savannah and Karen calls Chantel to ask about Thanksgiving dinner. Okay, I'm gonna start off by saying that I think that I have changed my opinion about Pedro and his behavior. I still think that River started the fight, but I think that Pedro being a baby and not being a man about this situation and trying to make amends with his wife's family is really petty and silly. They are 27 years old. Their marriage is not gonna work if he behaves like this to their family. And this is why I say that. So on the drive back from Savannah, they're talking about Thanksgiving and Chantel is like, well, you need to apologize. You know, what are we going to do about the fact that we have this issue with our family? And Pedro doesn't have anything to say. So Karen calls, Chantel's mother calls, and Chantel puts them on like, you know, Bluetooth. And so they're talking about Thanksgiving. And Chantel mentions that Pedro is in the car. And so Karen says hello to Pedro and asks about Thanksgiving. And Pedro doesn't say anything. And that's where I was like, no, you're wrong for that. He doesn't say anything. And Karen is like, hello. And Chantel is like, oh, he's asleep. She's like, okay, well, tell Pedro that mi casa es su casa. And then Chantel's like, okay, I'll tell them about the casa. And then she's like, okay, and tell him that mi baño is his baño. And she's like, I'll tell him about the baño too. And I'm like, every time she speaks Spanish, I feel like she's being disrespectful and rude. I don't feel like she's trying to bridge and be cordial. I feel like she's just trying to like be a jerk. I don't know why. I could be wrong. So then when she hangs up with her mother, she asks Pedro why he did that. And he's like, yeah, I don't want to talk to your mother, baby. I don't want to talk to those people. And I think to myself, no, Pedro, you don't have the luxury of not talking to somebody when they directly say hello to you on the phone. You need to say hello to your wife's mother. Even if you don't want to engage in conversation. Hello. Done. And so his whole thing is that all of a sudden, they want to invite him to Thanksgiving when the last time he spoke to her mother, she threatened to call immigration. Now, I understand that. I understand why he's frustrated and why he's mad, because I think that for anyone to start yelling immigration to foreigners, to start talking about calling ICE or talking about immigration or anything like that is fucked up, period, point blank. So I understand where he's coming from with being absolutely pissed off by that, but you still say hello. So the next scene we have is Chantel walking into a studio wearing one outfit and then getting inside of the studio and having a different outfit on. I peeped that game, but we're just gonna move past that. So we have this scene and I took, video of it for you.
in the grass, got snakes in it. Kid over her, make that boy so timid. One bad apple, make a whole sick village. Life is a game, but the cards I'm dealing. Struggle with the famous, you know I'm for sure. Receiving the hate, ram I know it. People I trust, but the shade they throwing. Get on my coat on the All
I can say is poor little Tink Tink. He sounded so nervous. River and his rap career. It's kind of like how I feel about Jaden Smith's acting. Chantel goes to see River because she says that she found out from her mom that he was in the studio laying down tracks. And normally she would be the first to know about something like that, but because of the fight with Pedro, her and River have kind of pulled apart from each other. So she's there trying to make amends. She asks River if there is any possibility of him and Pedro making up, and River says no, he's not interested in any apologies because he was trying to defend her and he was trying to defend his mother, and that Pedro yelled at his mother, and so that's what he was doing, and he would do it again. And Chantel was like, you know what, if this was anybody else who had attacked my brother, they would be in jail right now, or I would be. And we're just like, Chantel, girl, what? You call the police? You in cult calling the police on people? River says in his confessional that he can't be close with Chantel because she's allowing someone to disrespect her. And that Pedro has come over here and bamboozled everybody but him because from the jump, he always knew that Pedro was here for the wrong reason. You know, because she's allowing Pedro to disrespect her and use her, that he kind of like doesn't want to talk to her anymore. To me, this all feels like set up. There's no fire and there's no smoke, but this family seems to see both. So it's Thanksgiving Day and Chantel looks like she spent an hour getting dressed, but then after she's good and dressed, she sits down to have a conversation with Pedro about whether or not he's going. And I'm just like, girl, you knew he wasn't going. We all knew he wasn't going. She gets up and she goes to her parents' house and they have this Thanksgiving feast with everyone's like, oh, this food is so delicious. It really is. And I'm like, it looks okay. Is it really Thanksgiving? It doesn't feel like it. They also have this random person, this random family friend, Reggie, at the dinner, and I'm like, is this supposed to make us believe that this is really Thanksgiving? Because I don't feel like it really is. I feel like they staged this Thanksgiving meal or whatever. I don't know, girl. Did the crew get paid more for working on Thanksgiving? You know what I'm saying? Like, I just don't feel like it was Thanksgiving. But anyways, they're sitting around talking about Pedro and why he's not there, and they're shocked that he didn't show up because this is a family event. And then they start to go in on him and about how he attacked the family and how he was so disrespectful. And
would you tell my dad and my mom to be quiet and shut up? No, never. All right then.
They're not giving all of the information. Karen was attacking his sister. Karen, Winter, Chantel were attacking Nicole. And Pedro tried to defuse it by asking Chantel to switch seats with him. Karen jumped in and said she's not gonna do anything. Then his response to Karen was, which was wrong. But it was also wrong for them to attack his sister. They started it and he ended it. He was wrong, but they were wrong too. I understand why Chantel is mad at Pedro and why he just can't go over and apologize. Then Karen does what she does. She Kris Jennered the situation, trying to get Chantel some more screen time. And she pulls out a taser, calling it Shocky. You can tell that Chantel is absolutely shocked because she did not have any idea that her mother was gonna bust out a taser. So she's like, well, maybe it's a good thing that Pedro didn't show up today. And I'm like, yeah, it is a good thing because your family is still going to be doing the most around him. Then Karen in her confessional says that Shocky is a form of self-defense, another form of vitamin D, no milk required. Who is writing these things for her? You get vitamin D from the sun, not from electricity. Then we move on to another subject. We move on to the fact that Pedro wants to go to DR without Chantel, and then everybody's up in arms again about that. Why does he want to go without her? What secrets is he keeping? Have you talked to his family? And Chantel's like, no, I haven't spoken to his family. So I'm like, oh, you haven't called and apologized to his sister, but you want him to do that to your family? Let's keep our sides of the street clean, Chantel. If you haven't done that for his family, then why do you expect him to do that for yours? Then she's like, I don't know why. It feels like he might not come back if he goes. And so they're like, well, we could show up anywhere on planet Earth because we have passports. They're so ridiculous. Chantel's father says that he might be taking steroids. Do what you gotta do for TV, y'all. Let's move on to the next couple. So the last couple that we're going to talk about is Larissa and Colty. And so we were left on a cliffhanger last episode because Larissa went into the van outside to have a conversation with the producers. And she didn't have nothing much to say about it. Basically, she's like, I don't feel comfortable having conversations in front of Colt and Debbie because they are conspiring against me. I'm worried that if I say something that they don't like, they'll call the police and lie on me. And at this point, I don't get the benefit of the doubt and I'm going to go to jail if they call the police on me. I'm deathly scared of that. They're making my life hell, so I don't talk to them. And that's all I have to say. And we're just like, great. So then she goes back into the house, back upstairs, and Debbie tries to antagonize her by saying, oh yeah, you're right, you should get a new ring. You're right, Larissa. And Larissa doesn't take the bait and she goes back upstairs. Her husband called the police on her. That's unforgivable. Larissa's out of control. You guys are so vanilla. Call the police? Like, that's so extra. I will say that Larissa is disrespectful to Debbie, 100%. That whole thing about her sitting at the home watching cartoons all day is so rude and crazy, but hilarious at the same time. Debbie needed to move out and let this couple hash out their problems with each other without having Debbie chime in. She's like, oh, me and Colt aren't together anymore because Larissa got here and we're not the best friends and we don't have our normal relationship anymore. I'm just like, no, your relationship isn't normal. It's not normal, Deb. So in order to get back to some kind of normalcy, mom and son go on a bestie mom and son date. And they go have Mexican food somewhere and they drive up in that put-ass car. I want them to get a new car so bad. And they have margaritas and both of them are like, these margaritas are yummy. These are yummy margaritas. We're the best of friends. And I'm just like, these two, like, it's cute, but it's like not cute at the same time. And she's like, oh, this is so nice. We haven't done this since, you know, she got here. And then Colty's like, yeah, the dark times, ha ha ha. You know, you talk sideways about her and talking about it was the dark times and before this whole situation with Larissa showed up. But then you're gonna say you love her and she's your wife. It's so inconsistent to me. I don't understand. Debbie then starts to cry because she said it's such a roller coaster with Larissa being there and that she, you know, is too old for this. And I'm like, okay, Debbie, start crying so that Colty can feel really bad. Debbie's so used to Colt telling her everything, but now he doesn't tell her everything anymore. And I'm like, yeah, because he has a wife. The next scene is Larissa sitting outside with some weird ass side ponytail. She looks like the little girl from Wreck-It Ralph. I feel like she should have had candy in her hair. If that's what you want, beads and candies and like baubles and like barrettes. So Colty comes out with his little ass glass of wine and they're sitting in two like park chairs outside. Apparently Larissa has not spoken to Cole and she's basically like, look, you sponsored me to come here. I came here on good faith to be your sexy wife. And when I get here, you don't have everything ready for me. Living with your mom. You don't want to buy me makeup. You don't want to buy me clothes, but you want me to be sexy and do all these things, but you don't want to put into this. And he's like, I never signed a paper saying that I had to buy you 200 dresses and $1,000 worth of makeup. She doesn't have a green card. She can't work. She can't drive. And then he's talking about, oh, I can't talk to her because she's a child and I don't want somebody who's just gonna rant and rave at me. What I saw was her telling him how she felt. He's telling her, you know, this whole situation isn't solely my fault, even though I did call the police, but your actions forced me to call the police. It's not my fault solely. And I apologize for that. I'm really sorry. Like, it really does hurt my feelings that I did that. You just want her to like shake her head and agree to everything while you call her darling and say things that are like put downs. So it's the next day and they're eating breakfast and it's the first time that there's food on their table that I'm like, ooh, what is that? I want some. Look kind of good. I was like, okay, Debbie. Colty's not going to go to the trial because he says he doesn't want to be called to witness and have to say anything against her. He's just going to be at work counting down the seconds. And I'm just like, no, you're not. Even though Debbie and Larissa aren't talking, that's the only way for Larissa to get to the courthouse, which I'm just like, why isn't there Uber or Lyft that she can use? But okay. Debbie takes her to the courthouse. They're not talking. And Debbie says that it would be okay with her and might be the best choice if the court decides to deport her. Wow. This time I really feel for Larissa. She picked the wrong family to get in bed with. All right, you guys, so let's have a kiki and a conversation down below. Let me know what you thought of this episode. If you were kind of tired and over this season as well, I'm gonna be skipping a lot of people because I'm just not as excited. Don't forget to check my merch down below. I did a podcast last week, so if you want to check the podcast out, I'll have a link down below as well. Remember to be you, be true, and find your place. Bye.